everyone. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for being here. We are here at the 50,000 subscriber celebration stream. Yay! Clap. Everybody clap. So thank you, everybody, for being here. It's not showing me the counter of how many people are yet. I don't know. I just got here, so I'm just working everything out right now. So I do see we already had a super chat from Jose. It's not showing up in this thing, but I saw it beforehand, so I will answer his $5 super chat first. Since it's not showing up in the chat, I can't pin it. But if you guys would like to donate to the channel, as always, you guys can leave a super chat. And if you do, then that guarantees that we have to answer your question, and I will pin it. I'm just not going to be able to pin Jose's because for some reason it isn't showing up. But anyway, that's how it works. You guys are the ones controlling the discussion tonight. And on the panel tonight, we have Sister Belle, aka Kelly, who is not paying attention right now. And we have Jacob of Studio Jake. And I have links in the description to Jacob Aries' channel and for Kelly's Twitter, which is very spicy. But so, yes, would you guys like to introduce yourselves? Kelly, would you like to introduce yourself? There's a cat coming in the room right now. So
I go without saying I am the hot guest that appears in several previous videos. I'm most famous for my takes on Snow White, which was really one of the most heartwarming, wonderful movies that I've ever seen. I just, I really couldn't say enough good things about Snow White, Rachel Ziegler's Snow White. Let's have a moment of silence, shall we? Just kidding. You all might notice that I'm very sarcastic, and I do want to shout out Jacob and his channel. Please go subscribe to Jacob's channel as well. And it looks like we have an additional guest.
Yes,
on
the
channel.
she's really upset right now. She doesn't like this. She just came in to say hi, but this is the big baby who has been in some videos. But we have to bring about her on this channel. Say hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, she wants to go on the bed now. You could be in here. Okay, so we got them all rounded out. Okay, and Jacob, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm the host of Studio Jake right here on YouTube. I also clone everything that I do on Rumble if you're interested in Rumble. I also have a new website, which is studiojakemedia.substack.com, where I talk about pop culture. I just finished cloning all my old articles from my old website over to the new one. So at least head over to see the chaos that ensued from that. But anyway, yeah, I talk about pop culture. I do news, and sometimes I do sort of analysis videos. I also like to kind of show off my marketing bona fides, and I'll talk about marketing, like how I thought a studio went wrong in marketing a certain movie. So head on over there if that's something you'd be interested in.
Okay, I think we are ready to get started. So we do have our first super chat. Once again, I can't show the guy because it isn't showing up, but from Jose, who asked, what if Mark Webb had made The Amazing Spider-Man 3 instead of Snow White? My response is, I'm not sure if the world would be a better place because of how The Amazing Spider-Man 2 showed out. But I'm actually at a place right now, speaking of Spider-Man, where I would actually like to see what Sony would do with Spider-Man as like a brand new thing, not connected to Disney, because I think that Sony, they've been very hit or miss with their Spider-Man stuff, but I still think that with that hit or miss, you could get a hit in there. So I'm just ready to move on from the MCU, and I know it's kind of off track, but yeah, so I would like a new Sony universe. I'm not sure if I would want The Amazing Spider-Man 3, though, but Snow White was a gift to us all. So I don't think that I would want to live in a universe where that didn't happen. It didn't hurt anything that I liked. It was just a fun ride. So you guys, any thoughts on that? On Mark Webb directing Amazing Spider-Man 3 instead of Snow White?
I have the opinion, the contrarian opinion, that the first two Amazing Spider-Man movies are good, and so I would have loved to seen a third one. I'll be honest, I didn't like the way the second one ended necessarily. I think the deleted ending was way better, but I would have loved to seen Mark Webb do a third Spider-Man film. I would love for them to tie Andrew Garfield to the Venomverse, not necessarily the other films from that universe, but I like Tom Hardy as Venom. I thought he did a good job. So those are kind of my contrarian opinions on those films. But yeah, I would love to see I think his filmography would be much better nowadays.
Kelly, would you like to live in a universe where Rachel Zegler's Snow White did not exist?
I mean, yes, but I actually agree with Jacob. I know Jacob might fall over, but I loved the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man movies. It
I
actually,
actually have a special place in my heart, even for the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I will admit.
yeah, I like both of those movies. I really enjoyed I cannot who played Gwen Stacy. Emma
Emma
Stone's
Stone.
portrayal of Gwen Stacy I enjoyed. I did think the Amazing Spider-Man 2 might have been overstuffed and overly long. I think honestly it could have been split into like Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Amazing Spider-Man 3 or something like that, just because I felt like Electro could have been a villain by himself had he been done in a better way. I really liked the kind of the redo on his character in the Marvel version of, or the Marvel iteration of that character. I thought that was really good. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen a third, if we had like a perfect world, which we don't. But if we had a perfect world, there should have been 3 Amazing Spider-Man movies. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 should have been shortened, reduced, make I don't know, make Harry Osborn the primary villain in that movie, and just cut it down. We don't need to put everything in one
Yeah,
movie.
I think that they were there was maybe some of the Avengers stuff leaking through. Like we need to have so many characters and so much
Right.
stuff happening. Okay, we do have our next super chat. Thank you for $5 from Dawson, who asks, "I feel, or they say, I feel like the new DC universe is DOA, not necessarily because the new Superman movie will be bad, but because Discovery wants to split with WB." So I agree, but not necessarily because of the split. I think it's DOA because I think that even when I think like I have been I'm not on board with the James Gunn Superman movie, and neither his sister Belle really. I don't know how Jacob feels. He can share his thoughts in a second. But my thing is, even if it's good, because there were rumors recently about how there might have been a lot of changes behind the scenes in regards to the humor, which could greatly affect how I feel about it. Even if it's good and I come away thinking that was a good movie, I don't feel like I'm ready to go, okay, now here's the new DC universe where there's a Wonder Woman film and a Batman film and a Swamp Thing film and it's all interconnected and it's all leading to stuff. Like we just had that with Marvel and they exhausted themselves. And we had it with DC for years where they couldn't get it off the ground. And I am so exhausted of interconnected universe that it's like if they did a like Superman trilogy or new Spider-Man trilogy, I guess I'd watch, but I'm just so exhausted by how much they're asking me to care about that. I don't think that audiences are there right now. I don't think that audiences are interested enough to get another cinematic universe after they just went through all that and a lot of it just turned to trash in the end. So yeah, I don't think that the DC universe is going to work out. I think that they're going to wind up seeing some soft box office for Superman. So do you guys want to add anything to that?
I'll let Jacob take that one.
Oh, I'm going to be the contrarian. I thought I was the contrarian on Spider-Man. Confirmed, I'm the contrarian on Superman. I think it looks good. I know YouTube has this thing where they get like really bad indigestion anytime there's a new superhero movie, but I think the Superman movie looks good. I'm not saying it's going to be as good as the Christopher Reeves movies or even as good as Dean Cain's Superman, but I think he hits all the right notes. It's if anything, I think that it'll be mid at best, but I'll take a mid Superman movie over a terrible sequel to the Marvels any day of the week, or even a sequel to the Snyderverse. I will take a mid Superman movie. I think James Gunn is a talented director. He's hit and miss, but I think that he's unfairly blamed for introducing the humor of Marvel. I think that was really more Peyton Scott or whatever his name is who directed Ant-Man. I think that was more
Peyton
his
Reed?
fault. Yes, thank you, Peyton Reed. I think that was more his fault. But anyway, I think it's going to be good. I actually am planning to go see it. One of my subscribers actually paid for me to go see it, so
Will
I'm
you
going to
be
go
ready
check it
if
out.
it's good though? Are you ready for an entirely new like DC universe with all these different interconnected movies and all of that?
Yes, because the Snyderverse was an epic failure, and it needs to be restarted, and it'll definitely be better than whatever CW was churning out at the time. So yeah, I am ready for a new DC universe. I want to see a young Batman. I'm tired of him either being a baby like Robert Pattinson or super old like Ben Affleck and George Clooney. I want to see a good, experienced Dark Knight in this universe, and I hope they give us that.
I do just want to pop in
Go ahead.
on the Superman topic, because Jacob pointed out that Dean Cain was a really great Superman. I would say that he was one of the best live action iterations of Clark Kent. And Teresa's mentioned on her channel before that I'm probably more of a Superman fan than she is. I actually have like the comic where he proposes to Lois. I have the comic where he reveals to Lois that he is Superman. It's a really bad comic. It's like the last panel he reveals, you get none of her reaction because it's from her back. And so you don't get any reaction whatsoever, and the entire comic leading up to that is not great. But I digress. I'm a huge Dean Cain fan. I really liked that iteration of Superman because it felt more human. And I know technically he's not human, but it gave him more of like struggles that you would expect from a young guy, where Lois Lane is basically the ultimate temptress of he's tempted by Lois, he's tempted by various women around him, but he's constantly having to say no and stuff like that. So I thought that was much more of a human take on Superman rather than him just always being perfect all the time. Which I think that you can fall into that trap with Superman, and they've talked about, I've listened to like all of the behind the scenes on the Justice League cartoon, and they've talked about how that's kind of one of the struggles of writing Superman is sometimes, he's too powerful, he's too perfect in every way, and so it's harder to write for him. And so this new one, I just there's feels like there's some magic missing, and I don't disagree with Jacob that there's a good possibility this is just a mediocre movie, and and we go home and we're like, okay, it didn't hurt anything, but it didn't make me want to join the Air Force or something. I don't know, but I just don't feel any magic from the trailer. I feel I'm gonna sound really sexist, guys. I don't think Lois Lane is real attractive in this movie, and I want to see Lois Lane. I want to see like the Lois Lane, like Terry Hatcher come in and just rock the screen, and this other lady, I'm sure she's attractive, but they've put her in the dumpy clothes, bad haircut, bad makeup. Come on, gang. I'm here for the fashion of it, and it's not selling it for me.
One thing, some of your commenters were confused. I'm not saying the Batman was bad. You can go read my review. There's a little plug for my website. Go read my review. I think it's a good movie. I'm just saying I'm tired of the extremes of his age. I want a middle Batman that's experienced, but he's not ancient where he's all bitter. Every director reads The Dark Knight Returns and think they know everything. There's so much in between. Please read Chuck Dixon and Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil. Okay, Frank Miller isn't the only Batman writer, and he's a good Batman writer, but he's not the only one. I just wanted to get that out there.
Okay, thanks for your thoughts, you guys. Let's get some super chats. $25 from oh my goodness, Orthworm Jeb. Just says congratulations. I have no questions. That is all. Thank you so much for $25. And for $2 is Lil Dake. Thoughts on Your Movie Sucks YMS. That is another YouTuber. I liked him a lot. I really liked his Kimba video. I liked a lot of his stuff because I think that he's a very harsh critic, but that was necessary for a lot. Like he was one of the biggest videos he did was on Suicide Squad. And so I think that he's a very harsh critic, but that he has a lot of good insight. Lately, he's been having health problems, so he didn't do as many videos. So I haven't been watching him as much, but I understand he's been having health problems. So yeah, I think he's fine. I listen to a very wide range of film commentary on YouTube. I don't agree with everyone. What I like is just somebody who I think comes from a solid perspective, even if I don't agree with it. So yeah, that's where I'm at. But I haven't been listening to him much because he hasn't been posting as much. So
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is this the same Kimba video that you sent me where it was like evaluating whether
Kimba versus The Lion King?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You mean where Disney totally stole an anime story. Yeah, that's crazy.
Well,
some people,
his argument in his video is that Disney actually didn't steal the story, and he
I
actually
thought he
makes
did
a really
really
good
good
case,
on there.
So.
Well, I've not seen the video, so I don't know, and I'm not familiar with this channel. I've heard of him, but not knowing where else. Sorry, he's totally wrong. The Disney animator who
he
was the
spent
head
like
animator.
2 hours. He spent like 2 hours debunking it. It was a really well done video. Like he
the
went
original
and read,
animation cell had Timba as a white lion.
Oh, he went into that too. He went into like every argument that there has been. He went into essays. He went into all
Broderick
of that.
thought he was doing a remake of it.
Okay,
Jacob needs to do a rebuttal video to this guy.
I guess I do.
Some people are trashing YMS in the comments. I'm like, I listen to everyone. I listen to everyone who I think comes from. The only people who I don't like listening to is the people. The only people I don't like listening to are people who I don't think have a strong opinion on anything. Like they're just. How do I put this? There were a lot of people when Captain America Brave New World came out, they were like, oh, this is, don't stop hating on this. This is great. And then when Thunderbolts came out, they were like, oh, after many years of bad movies, they finally are making a good one. I'm like, you guys were defending all of these other movies and saying that they were good. Now you're pretending that you weren't. So, okay. Let me see. Somebody says Rachel Brosnahan is gorgeous. It's the clothing. I agree with that. I think that she is. I have a problem with costuming, and I know that like Kelly said, I don't want to come off as sexist or anything, but it's like lately, I used to be one of those people where I'm like, I don't need the shirtless scene of Thor in the movie. I don't need the like Scarlett Johansson butt shot or whatever. Now it's just like, we don't even care about anyone being dressed well. It's like in Fantastic Four, everyone's 15 years too old. And in Thunderbolts, they're wearing frumpy, like Florence Pugh's wearing frumpy clothes. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. I think the costuming for Superman doesn't look good either. But that's where I'm at. Okay. Let me see if you got another question. Let me see.
If I seem tired, I just want the audience to know I was up at 5:30 this morning and did a mild jog at 6 a.m. So I have an excuse for being tired.
Well, I did a medium jog this morning.
This person says, name your top 5 most wanted Marvel Rivals characters. I don't know. I know Kelly doesn't play. I think Jacob might play. My top 5, I would say Rogue, Gambit. They're like, I'm just going to have those two take the top 2 slots. 3, I really want Thanos to be in the game sooner or later. And 4, Colossus, just because he's been mentioned before, and this is just going off the top of my head. Oh my goodness, who should I go for 5? I think I'm going to do 5 for Phoenix, but I think she's coming next season, so I think I'm getting that regardless. So, Jacob, do you want to do top 5 Marvel Rivals characters? You want?
Sure. I don't play that much, but when I do play, I usually play Iron Man, Spider-Man, Venom, the Punisher, and Scarlet Witch.
Okay, we do have some people in the comments asking about the Hunter Schafer Zelda situation. I wasn't going to do a video on that. Do you guys want to talk about it here? Okay.
I'm
always up for talking about controversial stuff, but you know, it's your channel and it's your 50K celebration.
I do want to just touch on this. I actually like Hunter Schafer as an actor. I just don't think that this is the appropriate role for a transgender actor. I think that that's probably my best.
Yeah, and I think that they like there was that rumor that they were going out about the PR team is working to put out those things. Especially there was another one about Hunter Schafer playing Mystique. So I think that it was the PR team that did it. I don't think that Nintendo would make that casting. But I'm just wondering if in the current climate that we're at socially and politically, that maybe Hunter Schafer is not getting as many roles or as many deals. And that's why they're putting out those kinds of rumors. So, yeah, I don't think that it's going to happen. I think that it was a PR campaign. I think that it was kind of a disaster. And just I was also not going to do a video because it's like it's a flurry that I don't think is actually going to amount to anything.
I think it should be Anya Taylor-Joy. She's
Yeah,
my top pick for
she
Zelda.
she played a great Magic in the New Mutants movie, and it's like wasted casting. Could have just been great.
Yeah, that movie had a great cast, but a
Oh yeah.
terrible directing and terrible writing.
Somebody asked, what does Born Again season 2 have to do to win you over? I am not watching Daredevil Born Again season 2. I was a defender of Daredevil Born Again.
Pun intended.
I said they are going, they realize their mistakes and they are changing things and it's gonna be good. And I watched the first episode and it wasn't perfect. And I'm like, guys, it's good, it's good, it's good. And I was defending the show. And it got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And it became indefensible. And it became exactly what I would expect for a Disney Plus production on Daredevil. That is the thing that said, unless it is something that I specifically have an interest in, like I'm just going to dog on the Ironheart show because there is a history in the comics with that character. It's supposed to be terrible. I'm just going to dog on that show. But like, apart from that, for Disney Plus shows like Wonder Man, I'm planning on not watching that. Daredevil Born Again season 2, I'm planning on not watching that because Daredevil Born Again made me go, I don't even want to support you guys with my viewership anymore after that because Daredevil Born Again was so bad. But anyway, nothing that they could do in Daredevil Born Again could win me back because they already had the bait with Daredevil Born Again, where they were saying, hey, we changed, you guys, you gotta watch. They already baited me. I fell for it, and I'm not gonna follow it again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 917 times, shame on me. That's where I'm at. Thank you for watching. Talk to my lawyer. That's where I'm at. I had to get that off of my chest.
I've not seen season 1, but any to get me back, they just have to have the Punisher in it. I think John Bernthal is probably one of the best Punishers as far as TV goes. But that would be an easy way. But like I said, I haven't seen Born Again, so I don't want to say this, that, or the other.
I will say I started watching it because I was like I loved the characters from the original show, and I started watching it. I watched, I don't know, maybe the first 3 episodes, I want to say. And then it just, there's this problem with storytelling in a lot of these shows where it's so slow. You're sitting there, it's like, okay, you guys only have 8, 10 episodes, however many it is. You'd think that it would be jam-packed. It used to be these TV seasons or series seasons were like 26 episodes, so you'd expect to get maybe a filler episode here and there. So when it's like an 8 to 10 special mini series, whatever, I expect to be entertained in maybe 85% of the show, and I'm sitting here and I'm just watching, okay, somebody's staring off into space and is sad, or somebody's in a therapy session with their estranged wife and they're having long looks at each other and feelings moments, and I'm not here for that. I'm not here for the feelings. I'm not here for your feelings. Sorry, audience, I'm not here for anyone's feelings.
That's why I didn't like Loki season 1. Just so much freaking talking. They could that show could have been gone down to 6 episodes if they just cut out all the talking scenes.
Okay, thank you, Amazing Spidey, for $20 super chat saying congrats. Thank you for the big donation. Somebody asked, what X-Men comic should I read first? Actually, if I was going to get someone into X-Men, it's like just in the middle of like the Chris Claremont run, like when Magneto turns and becomes a part of the team, the lead up to that where Rachel Summers is in the book, and then Mutant Massacre and all of that. That's when I think that the book, and I mean, even before that, when Rogue joins the team and the kinds of stories that they have there, Kelly just lit the house on fire.
She just left. She's gone.
She's gone. If you get like when Claremont first started writing, it was a little rough. It was a little boring. It's harder to get through. Oh, she went back and she got her comics. Okay, that's good. We were like,
I had to get
there
evidence.
Was a fire. There was a horn that blew, and you had to answer it. I don't know what was going on. But yeah, that era, like. Start when Rogue joins the team, or start when Kitty Pryde joins the team with Dark Phoenix. It's just that I would say start with the Claremont run, but it's just that the first stuff is really rough and it takes a little bit a while to get going. But just if those, like the middle of those that run just gets so good, like that's where I would start with that. Kelly, did you want to add with that?
I have a great piece of evidence. I had to go run into the other closet where I keep the single issue comics here. For X-Men, what I am looking for, what I am looking for when it comes to an intro comic is a single issue comic that has a complete story. It might be part of a larger run, but it needs to have a complete story within the single issue comic. And this would be my recommendation, X-Men 33. I
34. No, it's
Oh,
33.
this
33,
is 33.
33.
No,
Yes,
this
I'm
is
sorry, I'm wrong.
33. Let me tell you all the story. Teresa and I were at a comic book store or an antique store or whatever, and I was just happy. This was before I knew what I was doing. I was just happily pulling comics out and saying,
That
"Oh, I
wasn't that
wonder if
long
this is
ago.
good." It was like last year. I was pulling out single issue comics left and right. Like, I don't know, maybe one of them's good, maybe one's not. And I said to Teresa, "Which ones are you looking for?" And she's all, "X-Men 33. I just really want to find X-Men 33." Literally, the next one I pull out was X-Men 33, and I showed it to her. I was like, "Is this it?" And she's like,
because it was just like that. I was thinking that is the one that I want to find, and I found it
for $3 from
Yeah.
that box. It was a great deal.
Such a
Anyway,
good story.
it's a great story, and even though it's part of a larger story, it is a single issue that contains it's an entire story in and of itself, which is great. So that's a good intro for everybody.
It's about Gambit and how awful he was when he was younger, but that's why we love him so much.
I would recommend. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, if you're looking for something more foundational, where and they have these in trade paperbacks, I would go with X-Men First Class as well as X-Men Season 1. That's not a TV show. That's the actual name of the graphic novel, X-Men Season 1. And it goes more into the early days of the X-Men. First Class in particular shows like the first missions with Wolverine, Storm, Colossus, etc. I highly recommend those. I think Wolverine got a spin-off of First Class. I know he has a Wolverine Season 1, which retells his origin, but I highly recommend those. They just go kind of more into the past, and they do kind of soft reboots because they keep the stories the same, but just kind of move them into the future. Because X-Men debuted in like the 60s, I think. So they just took them and moved them into the 2000s as opposed to the 60s. So, and also it was written before Marvel decided to use the X-Men for their therapy notes. All the Marvel writers decided to put their therapy in the X-Men for some reason. So I would recommend those as well.
Okay, I just want to, somebody's been asking me because they're a little bit worried, but some people have been asking me about X-Men 97 season 2 and if I'm looking forward to it. And, have there been any rumors that I've heard? There was somebody who was writing like these, completely unfounded things about how Lenore Zan was telling me all of these details about X-Men 97, like season 2, and how like Rogue's going to be ostracized and someone's going to try to kill her. And it's like, I think somebody just said that to like upset me or something, because like these actors are under NDAs. They couldn't say any of this stuff. It would be very odd because in all of the interviews, these actors are always like, I can't say anything. And they're very vague about it. So someone was just probably trying to troll me. In terms of like my investment in X-Men 97 season 2, though, like if something bad does happen, like theoretically like that, like there is more assassination of the characters, I wouldn't put it past them at all, because this is Disney Plus. This is Disney Plus that we're talking about. And I've just seen it now that they don't care about these characters. They don't have, I think Brad Winderbaum, like he's behind all the Disney Plus stuff. He's working on X-Men 97. Like, I just don't expect anything from season 2 that's going to be good. I would just hope that it would just not be as bad. But then you've got Matthew Chauncey, who's the guy who took over, who did What If season 3, which was a complete disaster. They're reworking a lot of this stuff from it. I'm not expecting it to be good. I'm not pinning any of my hopes on it. But I would just hope that it isn't as damaging. Apparently, I was hearing, I don't want to talk about this too much because I know that not a lot of people are here for this. I was hearing that like Thorius Unlimited, who I know, he was saying that they actually acknowledged like how many people didn't like the Magneto and Rogue stuff and were kind of trying to backtrack in an interview. Like, oh, well, nothing actually happened between them. We didn't want to go that far. So they were apparently backtracking because the backlash over that relationship got to them or something. So I thought that was interesting. But like, I would be more hopeful for like characters like Rogue and Gambit. I'd be more hopeful. Like, they're confirmed that they're going to come to Marvel Rivals, some people think it might be around Valentine's Day. It might be that late. It might be sooner. But like Marvel Rivals has a much better track record of getting characters right. And it's got a lot more eyes on it. It's got millions of players still, even though they went through a little dip, but it's still got millions of players. And so, like, relatively speaking, far less people are watching Disney Plus. Like, I think I need to go back and read the full context of the interview with Tony Gilroy recently and what he was saying about Disney Plus. But like, the Disney Plus is more so bought for the old content on it, not for the new content. They have not been able to get their new content in front of a lot of people. Okay, so I talk about that too much, but just like the worst could happen with X-Men 97 season 2 if they fix stuff, if they go in a better direction, I'm all there. If they do terrible stuff, I will be here shouting it down. But ultimately, I don't think it's going to matter that much because it is more like, I know people out there that like it, but it is more of a niche cartoon. So that is what it is. So sorry if I talked about that too long. We do have a lot more pinned comments. Actually, we have Spawn Freak, $10. Thank you so much. Dakota Johnson said in an interview, Pedro Pascal told me that I should have an OnlyFans and that I could just wiggle my toe and make money. Should I do that? When will we stop giving him a pass? And yeah, there was another, because they're doing like a more independent movie together. There was another one where I don't know, he was just getting really close and all of that stuff in another video today. I just think that it's weird. I don't know. See, I've already done a video on Pedro Pascal. What do you guys think about the Pedro Pascal stuff?
I'm actually really curious to hear Jacob's take on this as a guy.
Pedro Pascal is what happens when a guy gets too many roles. He gets this big head, and now he thinks he can do no wrong. Like you saw him getting a little handsy with Vanessa Kirby at some event promoting Fantastic Four. It's really gross. And I just as a guy, I've stood next to ladies, and you need to keep a boundary. It's being a gentleman. Pedro Pascal, I don't think, is a gentleman. And I'm not saying he's done anything that would land him in jail, but I do think that he's just getting a little too big for his britches. The Critical Drinker described him as a Disney company man, and I think that's exactly what it is. He's in all their stuff now, and he goes from making indie films with Nicolas Cage to now he's in one of the most expensive Marvel films of all time. So that's my kind of take on him. I think he's just getting a little big for his britches, and he's just surrounded by a bunch of yes men. Well, when you're being told, I mean, even the way Dakota Johnson told that story, she was acting like she wasn't really creeped out about it. I thought it was creepy. I thought, I would never say
sorry, I didn't mean
not
to interrupt.
Even in a joke. I just mean, I would never say that to a female colleague of mine. That's a terrible thing to say.
Well, I also thought it was odd. Well, I mean, Vanessa Kirby has kind of been playing into it a little bit on things she's posted on social media and how she's acted on camera. It might be that they said, hey, play it up. We don't want any bad PR from this. I don't know. It could be that there's what I've just come to understand is that there's an environment in Hollywood. There's a way people talk and a way people act that we might think is, I'm not saying it's good. This is not me saying it's good, but there's behavior there that's normalized and it's not good, but like how they talk and how they act, there's different behaviors that are normalized there. Like sometimes people will share something that some actors shared in a text. So I'm like, I think that's like just the way they talk down there, and they just don't see anything wrong with it. So I don't know if it's that, but
I can give a little insight into some of this, just as an old 30-something woman who has had some experience with sexual harassment. When women, like what we're talking about, Dakota Johnson saying, when she's telling that story, usually when women do that, it's them like saying, hey, this bothered me without saying this bothered me, if that makes sense. So women will gossip with their coworkers about, hey, so and so did this to me, and you'll think it's gossip, but it's really them saying, hey, this bothered me. Like there's a lot of subtext there. So that is how I would read the Dakota Johnson statement. I would read that as she's saying this bothered me, but she's playing it off as a joke, because women this is just a thing women do. There's a lot of subtext there that is connected with it. And I also think that absolutely Vanessa Kirby's probably been told, you need to downplay this. You need to help smooth over the ruffles, because we're starting to get some blowback, because Pedro Pascal is honestly off the rails with some of the videos that have come out with him. This is not good PR. I think I don't know if you said this in a video or if we were just talking behind the scenes, but if Robert Downey Jr. did the things that Pedro Pascal is doing right before the drop of one of his big movies, this would be a nightmare. But because Pedro Pascal is apparently special, they're trying to sweep it under the rug. So
And
that's my take.
he needs to be careful too, because think about what happened with Ellen. All of a sudden, every negative experience that ever happened on her show with Mariah Carey, with Taylor Swift, with Justin Bieber, all of these people, they were put into a mega reel of all these stuff. And they were like, see, how could no one notice this behavior before? And Dakota Johnson, her comments, and maybe even some of Vanessa Kirby's reactions to it, it could, if he gets Me Too'd, even if it's not true, those moments are going to be added into all those Instagram reels, and it's just going to look way worse for him.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately, we only look back. I'm not saying that Pedro has done these things, but I'm just saying that, there was that video going around of Justin Bieber and Diddy that apparently no one thought twice about when it first came out. And then that video was going everywhere once all the stuff comes out. And then it's like, how did people not see it before? So just
the
wanted to
guy's
bring
name
that
was
up.
Diddy. Okay, come on.
Okay, we have a super chat from Zoomer Jack, who's also a member. Thank you so much for $10. Thoughts on Scorsese saying he no longer watches movies in public movie theaters anymore. Will this have an effect on how normal moviegoers view the movies or how theaters will react? No, because no offense to Martin Scorsese, but he is an auteur director. I don't think that many people in the mainstream know or care what he says. Either way, they're going to go see a movie if they want to go see it. Scorsese, I got to say, I appreciate him for his contributions to film and all of that. He also is a hypocrite. He says he wants movie theaters to still exist. He says he doesn't go. He criticizes films he hasn't watched. So, I've criticized films that I haven't watched, but like he talks a lot of stuff that I don't think that he necessarily knows about. Like, I was meaning specifically, like, he was very critical of like comic book films, but before admitting that he hadn't watched them. Like, he was criticizing Joker and then saying that he hadn't watched the film. I'm not even a Joker defender anymore. But anyway, I just think that he's done a lot of things that are hypocritical. So I wouldn't worry too much when it comes to his opinion on the theater. And like, he's elderly and he's got his own home movie theater. Martin Scorsese has the red shoes. Kelly, the red shoes for the Red Shoes movie. He has them in his home, and he loans them out to a museum. Like, that's how much he loves the history
The Red
of
Shoe
film.
Diaries? Did he even direct that?
No, not the Red Shoe Diaries.
Oh, okay. I was about to say,
the
whoa,
Red Shoes.
Who wants those?
Yeah. No, the Red Shoes is as a fairy tale that was made into a movie in the 40s, and it was kind of a spin-off. I don't know if you've seen it, Jacob, but you should watch it. I think you would like it. It's a cautionary tale, tragedy type of thing. Everyone, people come to a bad end at the end.
I appreciate Martin Scorsese for his contributions, but lately, like, I think that he's getting elderly, and it's showing, and that sometimes he says things that I think, like the whole thing about Marvel superhero movies, like, he wasn't actually even just trying to criticize Marvel there. Like, they did a huge article trying to explain where it was coming from. I think he's just getting older, and like sometimes his communication doesn't click with younger people and where we're at right now with film. Anyway,
just to say, I just think he's an out of touch elitist and doesn't know what he's talking about.
I was going to say something to the to the same effect, just because somebody who's wealthy and probably lives in Malibu or wherever he lives, he probably has a theater in his own house that he can see these things in. So I personally, there's theaters I wouldn't want to go into either. There's crowds that I've been in that I wouldn't want to necessarily be in the same room with again either. So but yeah, I do think that there's a level of elitism that's coming from a statement like that.
Okay, so we have Akihiko Sanada. I am terrible with names on this channel, as you guys might have noticed. Jester, what is your dream lineup for an X-Men reboot? Also, thank you for posting Rogue and Gambit so much, as they're my favorite comfort couple. They're no favorite there, but comfort couple. Thank you so much. My dream lineup for an X-Men reboot, which would not be produced by Kevin Feige, it would be an entirely new regime. It would be in a different world. It would be so obviously you have to have Charles Xavier, but I would do Cyclops, Jean, Storm, Nightcrawler, Gambit, Rogue, Kitty Pryde, and Wolverine. Like, I think that those are covering all my characters, and that's a pretty big lineup. I have nostalgia for Jubilee because of her being in the 90s series, but to be honest, Jubilee in the 90s series stole a lot of Kitty Pryde storylines from the comics, and Kitty Pryde has more interesting stories to follow. So that would be my initial lineup for an X-Men reboot. Kelly, off the top of your head, if you could have a group of X-Men characters in a reboot and it would be good, who would it be?
I mean, I just get hung up on the Phoenix Saga and the Dark Phoenix Saga, so I would say the primary characters from those storylines are what I'm most interested in. But I also like Kitty Pryde a lot, and I do think it's a shame that she wasn't a part of the original X-Men animated series. Um, Not that I don't like Jubilee in that series, but I think that Kitty is a much more well-rounded character. She's got the added uh I don't know, attention maybe with the fact that she is a 13-year-old with a crush on a 20-year-old, and I don't know, it's kind of an interesting dynamic in the comics because I've been reading a lot about that. Again, I'm not endorsing it. Please don't come for me, guys. I'm just saying that it's interesting. It's an interesting bit of tension, whereas Jubilee is just kind of the kid,
Yeah.
like just the kid, and she doesn't really have an arc other than to just kind of be the audience's eyes and ears. So I think that Kitty's story is more interesting to me.
Yeah, Kitty goes through like quite a development in comics because you kind of get
Mhm.
to see her grow up very fast and, be much more mature for her age because of it. She is much more of a dynamic character. Jacob, if you could have a lineup for an X-Men film, what would it be off the top of your head?
Let's see. Havoc, Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, Gambit, Rogue. Number 7. Who would be 7? Nightcrawler.
Havoc, really? That's
I
interesting.
love
I'm kind of
Nightcrawler.
over Cyclops and Jean. I'm ready to see Havoc lead the X-Men like he did with the Uncanny Avengers. I thought that was that was
Okay,
one of the few runs from Marvel now that I actually liked.
Jacob, certified Cyclops hater.
I'm not.
Come on,
Well, that's because
come
he's
on.
only been cool in 2 things.
I disagree. I disagree. Have you read Uncanny X-Men 175? He was excellent there.
Well, no, I meant in media. I should be
I
more
know, but
specific.
they've done him dirty so much. I can't wait to do a video about how he's been done dirty over the years, but no one would watch it because right now Marvel's throttled the X-Men, so we have to wait until we get to Doomsday. So anyway, okay, we have 3 more super chats to go through right now. Mr. Flibble, 20 USD. Is that a Porg as your? Oh no, it's not a Porg. Congrats, Jester. How do you think Marvel will handle Magneto, seeing as we're getting further and further away from World War II? Can his origin be changed and still keep his character? Well, that's already been addressed in the comics. Now, in the comics, they made it so that Magneto has been de-aged like more than once. So that's why he's still around, despite how long ago the Holocaust has been. But easily, they could just say that he has reduced aging or even indefinite aging, like so many other X-Men characters have, like Mystique. No one knows how old she is in the comics. She's been around for centuries. Wolverine is obviously very old. So it's like you can easily just say he's got reduced aging or he's near immortal or something like that. Like you can keep that. I was hearing arguments when I did my video on Denzel Washington potentially being Magneto. Some people argued that the Holocaust was a long time ago and that it is becoming less relevant and that is why they need to change it. And for me, I don't know. It's just that these characters, their backstories and their culture is just so core to who they are. I just don't feel like swapping like one tragic backstory out for a different tragedy that happened maybe with a different culture. It wouldn't be Magneto to me. And I think that you should make a new character and maybe feature them prominently if you wanted to do it off of a new tragedy, because it just like the culture of the characters in the background is so intrinsic. I can't even speak to who that character is in the comics. So it's integral. So like if you wanted to do like a new like tragedy that you wanted to base an X-Men story off of, I would make a new one. And guys, you can make new characters and make them successful. I know Marvel makes it look like that's impossible, but you can do it. But anyway, yeah, that's where I'm at. Okay. Did you guys want to add anything to that in terms of how they would handle Magneto and his Holocaust backstory these days?
Just the aging, or like you said, make it a part of it. He's an Omega level mutant, so I don't know why he's ages slower would matter. Or just say the experiments that Hydra or or the Nazis did on him. Oh, can I say that? Sorry. The Nazis, the Jerrys did on him, had something to do with it. But I don't think they should change the origin.
I just want to say this comment. Somebody says Magneto lays an egg of himself every 70 years, and upon his death, a fully grown Magneto clone with all his memories emerges from the eggs.
Someone is a Dragon Ball Z fan. That happens to King Piccolo. He makes an egg of himself, and it becomes Piccolo Jr. and later just Piccolo. So that's someone reads manga.
Okay, thank you for the great question, Mr. Flibble. Okay, we have a $10 super chat from a name I can't pronounce. I apologize. Tenok Huata.
Josui. Haven't you watched Life is Beautiful?
Josui.
Oh, okay. I apologize.
Little boy in Life is Beautiful. Although I think it's spelled differently. Go ahead.
Tenok Huerta Namor was accused of stealthing by a woman he was dating. She was acid attacked by a local politician and physically attacked the wife of his lawyer while being a representative. Yeah, okay. So what this guy's talking about is the guy who played Namor in Wakanda Forever was accused of assault potentially, and we never heard anything more of it. He was accused, and then he's in Doomsday. And so that's just I don't know if they're asking a question or just bringing it up here, but that is something. Another one was Kamala Khan's dad in the MCU was accused of grooming a 15-year-old, and then he's just out there in the Marvels and Daredevil Born Again, and I'm like, okay, he wasn't convicted or anything, but I'm like, there were those accusations going around, I think it was the parents of the girl or something, and I'm like, did we ever resolve that? Why are these people keeping showing up in Marvel projects and we never resolve these accusations? So anyway, that's something. Did you guys have any thoughts on the guy who plays Namor in Wakanda Forever?
I thought they did a terrible deconstruction. That movie might as well have been called Keep the Water Mexicans Out of Wakanda Forever. I mean, Namor is based on Greek mythology. They should have kept it close to that. But anyway, that's my thought on it.
I did not see Wakanda Forever. I just want to say
you didn't miss anything. You didn't miss anything.
I have not seen a Marvel movie since Doctor Strange 2 because I hated that movie so much. I was so upset with how Wanda was handled, various other elements of the movie, but just generally speaking, and the payoff after WandaVision, it truly did appear, and I think that it's been confirmed that the people who were making that movie did not even communicate with the people who did WandaVision. So I'm just like, okay, so I'm not supposed to care anymore. I'm not going to give you guys my money.
Elizabeth Olsen didn't like it either.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so we got 5 super chats to go through here, and I wanted to go for an hour, unless we'll see how you guys are feeling, but let's knock them out. Dakari the Professor, he's been a big supporter of the channel, $10. Huge congratulations, my friend. Here's some extra love from me. Your content always keep me thinking about what positive things I want in my entertainment. Thank you, Dakari, so much. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. I don't think I did. From Andreas, here's a challenge for you. If you had the opportunity, how would you write a story if Rogue and Gambit had children, like Ultimate Spider-Man comic? There have been alternate universes and stuff, where their daughter has Rogue's hair and Gambit's eyes, which I think is just funny, and similar power set. And then there was an alternate universe called X-Men The End, where they had a son who had Rogue's powers and a daughter who had Gambit's powers. It would be interesting to kind of mix up the power sets of the characters. I think it would be very interesting to see Rogue with a daughter, given her all of her mommy issues. And all of that kind of stuff. I think Gambit would be a good girl dad. He's actually very good with kids if you read comics, like the X-23 comic by Marjorie Liu, where he's kind of being a mother hen towards X-23, and there's a lot of parallels between the characters and what they've gone through. Gambit would be a good girl dad, so that would be interesting. I would have fun with it. I'm a big believer in superheroes progressing and actually having kids and getting married and all that. I think that's very interesting. I'd like to, see Jean and Scott finally have the actual Rachel Summers and not just be this alternate universe version that came from Secret Wars or whatever it was. Like what I would like I think X-Men is a good sort of venue because of the soap opera elements to bring about like children and have them interact and all that kind of stuff. My cat just got up. So yeah,
Big
that's what
news.
I would.
Breaking news.
The cat just got up. So yeah, I would probably like to see it as sort of like I actually did do some fan fiction of like Sabretooth goes after like Rogue's daughter as a little girl because they have some history with Sabretooth. All the X-Men do. Rogue snaps Sabretooth's neck for doing that because I think Rogue as a mother would be a complete mama bear if she's in character. And, I think Gambit would be the chill husband because that's kind of how he is in his later days. He's very chill. Anyway, that's my fan fiction. So, did I just lose Jacob?
No, I'm still here.
Okay, I thought you disappeared. Thank you for not leaving us. Okay, so let's see if we can knock out some of these other super chats. Jimbit, have you ever watched or heard of the podcast EFAP? Of course. I was there with the first Unbridled Rage with Star Wars. So, yeah, I know about it. I listened to it. I think that it's a little bit similar to where I want to go with analyzing media and keeping it to the story. Because there are some channels where it does sound like they are maybe a little bit more motivated on the side of politics, which I don't care what your personal politics are, but it has to be like I can get the sense that maybe some people aren't as oriented in talking about story as they are of this is an opposite belief of mine, and I want to talk about like how does all of this affect story. So yeah, that kind of adds up with EFAP. But yeah, I know all about them. Thank you, Jimbit, for the $2 super chat. Shooter Down Under, $8 super chat, or $7.99 odd. So
Australia, probably.
Australia, I'd have to see how that converts. Given that we're finally getting Magneto, isn't it a greater shame how Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were treated by the MCU? Absolutely. Like when you think about it, Quicksilver was murdered, and I know that happened because of the rights. But then, we all know what happened to Scarlet Witch. She got the worst character assassination of any character in the MCU. Would you guys agree with that?
Oh, 100%. I do understand why they killed off Quicksilver. At the time, they didn't know they would ever get the rights to the X-Men back. So I understand that one. But yeah, I agree with you. Scarlet Witch, complete character assassination.
That's hard though, because I feel like the Hulk has a pretty bad character assassination because he doesn't even get off the ground. Like, he had a great he was great in the first Avengers. He started to teeter in Age of Ultron, and then he became Mark Ruffalo's goofy idiot self for the rest of it, in my controversial opinion.
Well, in She-Hulk, I don't agree with you for the films, but I think they just made, because he's not as good an actor as Richard Norton, they just made the Hulk connect to him as opposed to trying to get him to connect to the Hulk.
That's an interesting take, that Mark Ruffalo is not a good actor. I need to
No, I didn't say he wasn't a good actor. I said he wasn't as good as Richard Norton.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't want to put words in Jacob's mouth.
Witch, they made her just turn evil and pinned it all on her when she wouldn't even be doing that stuff. Like, she thought in Age of Ultron, she thought she was joining Ultron for the right reasons. And as soon as she found out that Ultron was doing bad stuff, that she turned against him. And then it's like, no, she would murder. They made her so she enslaved a town, redeemed herself. A lot of people had a problem with that ending of WandaVision, and then she went evil again with the Darkhold and killed a bunch of people, tried to kill a child, and then killed herself. Like, that is a horrible character assassination.
No, I don't disagree with you. I think it again, this is why I stopped watching Marvel. I said,
Ed Norton, not Richard Norton. Sorry.
Right. This is why I stopped watching Marvel, because of what they did to Wanda. Because it was basically telling the audience, okay, we really don't care about what's been done in the past. We don't care about you as the audience having a positive experience, or we know you've been attached to this character for years. We're just gonna, now trash her for no reason whatsoever, other than we're too lazy to read what's come before. We don't care. That was the message of that movie for me, was we don't care. And so I was like, okay, fine. I don't care about giving you money anymore. So I have not seen a Marvel movie since Doctor Strange 2, because they truly don't care about me as an audience member.
Yes.
I need
Nice
someone
little
to care
rant.
about me.
Yes. Okay. Andreas Hernandez, another super chat. Jake, as a Trigun fan, what are your thoughts on the manga Trigun and Stampede? Recommend? Anyway, love and peace, he says.
I've not read the manga yet. I do plan on reading the manga because Trigun actually had a very limited run, but then the sequel, which I think is called Trigun Maximum, it went on a little bit longer. I do recommend Trigun Stampede, but just so you know, they do kind of change a lot of the stuff. So, for instance, oh man, her name is escaping me, but the young woman who's chasing after Vash through the whole thing, they make her a reporter instead of an insurance adjuster, which the insurance adjuster thing was always funny. You can see the poster behind me because Vash would always cause like all this public property destruction. So she was always there having to like evaluate all the destruction he was doing. But then they made her a reporter. They haven't introduced Millie yet, but I liked it. I didn't think it's good as the original. The original Trigun anime is my all-time favorite anime. It's so good. It's very well made. And I really like the movie they did that came out in the 2000s called Trigun Badlands Rumble. If you haven't seen that, check it out. The only thing I didn't like about that is they got a different voice actor to voice Father Wolfwood. But yeah, otherwise I recommend Trigun Stampede.
Okay, I got 3 more super chats to go here. Guys, we are almost at the hour mark. So if you guys have any more super chats you want to send in, any more questions you want to send in, now is the time. Silverback Entertainment. Hey, congrats on 50K. Just wondering if any of you are looking forward to Superman. There seems to be too many characters, though that could work. We did talk about this in the beginning of the stream. I'm just meh. Like, I just don't care. I haven't seen anything in the trailers that would make me care. It could wind up being a fine movie, but I think that there has been a lot. Just for me, there's just been so much drama and so many bad movies from DC that I'm kind of at the point where I needed a break. I did not think that James Gunn was a good fit for the movie. It could salvage it. It could wind up being, once again, decent, but it's just very hard for me to get excited for it right now. I need something to wake me up again, and that's just not what Superman is, or James Gunn Superman.
I'm looking forward to it. Like I said earlier, I think it's going to be good.
And then Kelly's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, of all the superhero movies coming out this year, like if given the choice between Superman and Fantastic Four, I'm obviously picking Superman because Fantastic Four looks terrible. But yeah, I just don't I just don't see any kind of like the Superman magic seems to be missing from the trailer. I'll just put it that way.
I don't know.
Okay, we have 2 more super chats. Do you remember your first comic you fell in love with? Well, I remember the first comics I read. I think I just looked up some new comics online, but the first physical copies I bought was actually a Supergirl comic from the 90s and a Huntress comic also from that era. So that Huntress comic explained her origin story that was already told in like the Justice League show. So I really enjoyed that. But like early comics that I really loved, I liked the Batman Mad Love because I think the comic book version just has little tweaks about it that are better than the cartoon version. And like let me just to think, like Batman Long Halloween, and it was really Batman comics that got me in to reading comics in general. And then I remember I really enjoyed Night Gwen Stacy died at the time, like the Spider-Man, Batman early comics that I was reading. So yeah, I think that those were my early ones, but I think that Batman Mad Love really stands out to me as one of the ones that I was reading in early days. And then it would kind of just be those early Spider-Man, Stan Lee comics that I was into. Do you guys remember like the first comic you fell in love with?
Oh yeah, very first one, issue number 1, Spider-Man Adventures, which was actually a comic book adaptation of the Fox Kids TV show. I remember when I got the comic, I was very excited, and back then I was a little disappointed because they changed the dialogue from the show. I was expecting it to be like a carbon copy of the series, but I guess because you can't fit all of TV show dialogue into a word bubble, so it would always be like kind of shut down, like when he fights Hobgoblin. Spider-Man quips, "You have more weapons than some small countries." And in the comic, he says, "How do you have so many weapons?" And I was like, "What? That's not what he says." But then the second one would be The Adventures of Batman and Robin, which was stories that took place in the universe of Batman the Animated Series, like Mad Love. And then also the third one was the Archie comics Sonic the Hedgehog before they ruined it with the Genesis wave. That was the best adaptation of any Sonic the Hedgehog, that Archie series. It was a continuation of what is now known as Sonic Saturday AM or Sonic Saturn, if you're a hardcore fan. So my first three comics were all adaptations of animated versions of my favorite character. So yeah, I would say definitely those three.
Kelly, do you remember the first comic that you really loved?
Well, the first comic I ever read, I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and it was a comic called Captain Commission. And it was basically a ripoff of Superman, but he was going to preach the gospel into all the world. I don't know if Jacob remembers this, but something about the way it was drawn was really weird and like made me nauseous.
I didn't have that one. I had Power Mark, which was kind of a Christianized Iron Fist. So I know about that one.
Yeah, I was not into comics as a kid. Outside of, I had that comic, and I feel like I was kind of creeped out by the art. Not the messaging was fine. It was just the art was weird. Teresa got into comics well before I did and kept pestering me about reading comics and this and that. And Reese, were you the one who got me the Civil War comic for Christmas? Who got me?
I think you bought it yourself.
Okay.
I think you either asked for it or got it yourself. I don't remember
that. You didn't
get
me Civil War, Jacob?
Yes, I did.
There's no way you got me Civil War, because this was before Daily Wire and all that.
Oh, okay. Which one did I give you?
You've given me a ton of them. You gave me
Oh, I was about to get my feelings very hurt.
I know. I then bought a second copy of that.
Oh, I got you Batman Superpower. That's what I got. Yeah. That's the one I got you.
Yeah. So that was the first one that the Civil War trade paperback was the first one that I read, and I was like, okay, this is a good story. And I was really wrapped up in like the story with, because obviously the superheroes are taking sides, and it was interesting to me the idea that Mr. Fantastic was with Iron Man and Sue Storm was with Captain America. And there's this really heartbreaking scene where she leaves the kids behind with Richard and with Mr. Fantastic. What's his first name?
Reed.
That's right. I don't know what, man, I am losing it tonight. She leaves him with the kids, and she says goodbye to them while they're asleep, and she runs off to join Captain America's team because she doesn't agree with Iron Man. And I was just like, oh my gosh, the parents are splitting up. This is too much for me. So that was the first comic that really piqued my interest, but I can't say anymore that it's my favorite, because I've read now like the Winter Soldier run. Unbelievable. So some of the best Captain America stuff I've ever read, some of the best comic stuff I've ever read. Obviously, I love the Phoenix and Dark Phoenix sagas. Trying to think, Long Halloween, Batman Long Halloween also. And then we've got these terrifying looking omnibuses that Teresa and I are reading, that they're like, the two of them together are like this big. It's unbelievable. So
let me go get it.
Okay, she's gonna go get it. I have mine in the back as well, but
all mine are in my closet. Eventually, I'm going to display them out here.
By the way, hi to Sean Chandler. Thank you so much for being in the chat today. I'm reading this thing.
Whoa.
That's just the prelude.
I'm up to the Nightcrawler stuff now. Kelly.
Very good, very good.
So yeah, I have two more. That's weird. I have two more super chats here, and you guys, we are going to have to wrap things up now because we've gone for an hour. If you guys have any final super chats or questions you want to just throw in as we're wrapping things up, put them in. $5 fun facts. Wolverine has two names in Spanish. Translated, they are Wolf Cub in Spain and Cheetah in Latin America before they settled with his English name. That's interesting.
They don't have Wolverines in South America?
I guess not.
Europe, I
Rogue's
don't care
name,
about, but
fun fact, Rogue's name in other countries is Vampira because of her powers. And the reason why she has like bright white streaks in her hair is originally it was 2 on either side, and it was supposed to be kind of like Dracula because she sucks people's powers and life out of them. So, Greg C, super chat, $5. I think even if Hollywood wasn't making woke, we don't say that word. We don't say that word.
well, I say it all the
Movies,
time.
they still wouldn't be any good because they don't have talent like they did a couple decades ago. I agree. I think that Hollywood is at a place where it's a bad environment, and I just don't think that they have the people who have the talent that they did years ago. And I think that they can make as apolitical films as they want, and I think that that's what they think that they're doing. I think that they thought Lilo and Stitch was very very apolitical, but I'm like, I still see your guys' really warped worldview coming through, because it's like you said that Nani had to leave her sister behind because going to college was the more empowering thing to do or whatever. It was just really messed up. So yeah, they just are completely messed up with their stuff. I don't think that they have anything good coming out because of the people behind the scenes. They're just not like they used to be. And I don't think that the people who work there have gotten to pass their expertise on to anyone else.
Yeah, I agree. If we're talking about Marvel specifically, before Kevin Feige got a big head, where he can't wear hats anymore, I guess, there was this quality control at Marvel Studios, but then Kevin Feige kind of got in with Bob Iger, and Bob Iger basically fired them all. It was people like Avi Arad, and I know this guy is controversial, but the guy who was the Marvel CEO for a while,
Ike Perlmutter?
Ike Perlmutter, I know he's a little controversial. And then Jon Favreau was one of those people.
Yeah.
And they just disbanded it thanks to Kevin Feige just being a better networker than those 3 guys.
Yeah, I actually, guys, I'm going to plug the channel. I have a video going out tomorrow morning that is on Kevin Feige and why he is to blame for what has happened. And like, I just noticed, and I agree, Ike Perlmutter has done controversial things. He's actually the reason why you can't get a lot of X-Men merchandise, because he throttled Fantastic Four and X-Men out of pettiness because Fox had the rights to them at the time and they didn't. So like, shady stuff, but I also just find it suspicious. It's like whenever I read a narrative from the media about Kevin Feige, it's always just all the problems from Marvel are actually someone else's fault, and Kevin Feige is the guy who actually makes it all work. And I'm like, at some point or another, the guy has got to take responsibility for this stuff, and that's what my video tomorrow is on.
Yeah,
Jim,
oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, and a lot of the stuff about, if you read about Ike Perlmutter, you're right about the pettiness with the X-Men, but a lot of the stuff people said about him was all allegations. There's not any proof that he said a lot of the stuff that he said. It just started this whispering campaign against him. So, but yeah.
Just to wrap things up, Jim Bit, also thoughts on Cobra Kai. I think season 1 and season 2 are really good. And then I think that it leaned into the camp aspects too much and became very, very redundant. And then I found the conclusion to the show satisfying, but it felt like it was a show that should have been like 3 seasons rather than 6. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Cobra Kai. Somebody, I do want to say, somebody said, if you could have the powers of either Rogue or Gambit, which powers would you have? I would have Gambit's powers, actually.
Oh, Gambit's hands down.
Rogue's powers has a lot of drawbacks. But okay, guys, we went for over an hour. Thank you so much, anybody who donated a super chat. Thanks for all the great questions tonight. Thanks for a great start off to June. We've got a lot of crazy videos coming up. We've got Kevin Feige video tomorrow coming out, and we're going to find out soon as tickets go on sale for Fantastic Four for sure how well that movie is going to do. We've got Ironheart by the end of the month and lots of other videos I am working on as well. Thank you so much, Sister Belle, Kelly, and Jacob for coming on. Oh, somebody had one more. Sexy flirty rogue or sad emo rogue? Both. Thank you so much for $2 USD. So thank you so much for that, you guys. And thank you all for everybody who contributed. And we will see you guys on the next